Happy Tuesday, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who commented on my video last week with all the crazy stuff that was happening. And as you probably saw just now, because I think I'm going to put the footage in there, Buddy is still with us and he is still doing pretty good. I mean, he's great during the day. It's so fun having him here. It's wonderful and he's a total sweetheart. He does still have night anxiety though. We didn't end up having a thunderstorm last weekend. The weather kind of cleared up. So I haven't gotten to test out the medicine the vet gave us during a storm yet. Right now, I think there's some in the forecast for tomorrow, Wednesday, but again, it's Texas. This stuff just changes like on an hourly basis, so I don't know. But yeah, the night anxiety. He had a great night Sunday night, I think it was. I mean, he just completely slept through the night. And then last night, it was back to up every few hours, a little bit whining, a little bit barking. It's not like making noise. And that's the problem. That's the problem is that, I'm happy I don't mind losing sleep and I took this dog in. I want to take care of this dog, but the downstairs neighbor has already complained and I don't want another call from my building manager. And if he's making noise in the middle of the night, that sucks. And that's super inconsiderate. Like, I don't want to do that to whoever lives below me. So I've been in touch with the organization we're fostering him through and just, they know what's going on. And I've told him, he might be better off with a foster who has a house. So at the very least, the noise won't bother anybody. And I'm still trying to figure out how to manage the other issues as best I can. Giving him a smaller dose of his sedative at night has helped somewhat. Last night was kind of not great, even though, again, he had, I gave him the sedative, but I don't know if he has nightmares. Like, sometimes it seems like that. He wakes up very abruptly and he's just kind of agitated and, one of us will go and sit with him and talk to him in a soothing voice, but it's like Josh said, it's like he's trapped in a nightmare he can't get out of, and that's a really good description of what is going on with him. So if you're a dog owner and you've ever had a dog that had that kind of behavior at night, please let me know. The weird thing is, the people who had him before us had him for a year, okay? And they told us all about the storm anxiety. They fully prepared us and were very candid about what he's like. But I even asked when we picked him up, does he, is he like an early morning riser like Rosa, or is he, does he sleep in? And they were like, she kind of looked surprised at the question. She was like, oh no, he sleeps. He sleeps. I don't think they had this issue with him. And that's bugging me too. It's like, is there something here that's making him uncomfortable at night? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway, that's your dog update for the day. Let's talk about books. So this week is a little bit of a kind of different week for me because I am teaching that course on developing a multi-POV novel, and I'm teaching it with the Women's Fiction Writers Association. And past Michelle did present Michelle a huge favor and pre-recorded all of the lessons. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so starting yesterday, students logged into their forum and they were able to just watch the lesson in their own time, and I did not have to be presenting. So that was really cool. Today, Tuesday, and Thursday and Saturday evenings, we're going to be doing workshops via Zoom. And we have them split up into kind of an East Coast group and a West Coast group. So I'm going to be teaching from 7 p.m. to 8, and then I'll get a half-hour break, and then from 8:30 to 9:30. And it's going to be fun. I love workshops. I've said this to you guys a million times, but I'm not going to lie. I will be perfectly honest. I'm usually in bed by 9:30. I'm usually in bed before 9:30. No shame. I like my sleep. I have just, this started in 2020 and now I am just, when the sun goes down, so do I. When the sun comes up, so do I. That's just how I sleep, and I really like it. So it's not that it's late. I mean, 9:30, it's fine. I will still be in bed by like 10 or 10:30, and I'm not worried about that part at all. However, I am very used to my work day being done when I start making dinner. And it's weird to me now that a few days this week I have to be in the mindset of, oh, I'm starting working at 8, but my workday doesn't end till 9:30. And if you're like rolling your eyes at me right now, that's okay. I have had jobs in the past where that was absolutely the norm. Every day when I was a band director, I got up at 5:30 every morning because I had a long commute to school. I was at school teaching by 7:30, and if I was lucky, I was home at 7, but most nights it was well after dark when I got home. So I know it's a little bit kind of spoiled of me to be like, oh no, I have to work till 9:30 tonight, but I'm not used to it. So what I did last night to kind of like get my head in the right mindset to wake up today and not feel overwhelmed, because I have a lot of other stuff going on this week that I'll tell you guys about in a second. What I did was I opened my journal and I wrote out a schedule, but it was the way I approached it with my mind, I think that made the difference. It was not a do this at this time, do this at this time. You have to do all of this within this allotted time or you are going to be behind. No. The way I wrote it instead was, I wasn't trying to fit all of the things in. Like, I need to work on my book. I need to do this for a client. I have a client call today at 3 o'clock. And, things like that. Instead, I sat down and I was like, okay, here's all the things I have to do tomorrow. Realistically, what time am I going to start working? Probably between 8:30 and 9. Okay. Well, the rest of the day is really busy with client work and this course, so I need to do my work on my book first, so I'm going to write on my book until 10 o'clock. And then I just went through and was like, realistically, what time am I going to eat lunch? What time am I going to take the dogs out? What time am I going to get in the course forum and respond to students' questions? What time am I going to review my client's materials before our phone call from 3 to 4? And I was very realistic with it, knowing myself, how much time is this all going to take? And then I just saw in my journal how my day was going to go, and that made me relax. It was like, okay, well, there it is. It's all there. I don't have to worry about what's going to happen. That's it. And then I woke up this morning and, I feel pretty good about my day. It's like 8:45 and I'm going to start working on my book for the next hour and just kind of follow the plan. Anyway, that's my plan for this week. Now, a quick update on Sandstorm, on my nano novel. Yesterday, I hit 10,000 words, which was very exciting. For me, that is often the point where it starts to feel like a real book, And I've been doing something that I haven't done in a long time. I only ever really do this, honestly, on books that I'm writing where I'm just like, I kind of like a next level of excitement about. So if you remember me talking about the Coney Island book that I wrote over and over again over the last decade, I would do this with that book. And that is, first I compile every day when I finish a writing session. I'm using Scrivener, so I compile it into a Word document. That I do anytime I use Scrivener, because you've probably heard Scrivener horror stories, losing work. I've lost work on Scrivener. Just in case you want to have it in a Word document. So I compile it into a Word document, but then I send that document to my Kindle app. And then later that day, I don't know, there's just something about opening it on an iPad and opening the Kindle app and like, it looks like a real book, And I read it through. And this is helpful. It helps me catch some stuff and think about some things I want to change. But honestly, mostly it's just entertaining, because when I'm just really excited about a project, I like reading it. And that's the stage I'm at now. I started out, like I told you guys last week, really slowly. The first few days, the first couple thousand words came very slowly because I was trying to find the voice and just kind of find my way into it. What do I want this to sound like? And that takes a little while. And one of the techniques I used that I forgot to mention in this book, but I've definitely talked about in vlogs before, is from Rachel Aaron's 2K to 10K book. The best tip I got out of that book was, write a summary of this scene before you actually start writing the scene. Get the way, I don't know if she said it this way, but this is how I took her suggestion. Get the mechanics out of the way first. Where do you want everybody to be? What exactly physically is happening? What are your characters physically doing? What are they saying to each other generally? Don't worry about style. Throw it all out there in the document. And then go back and okay, you have all all the technical stuff down, and now you get to get artsy with it. How do you want to shape it? How do you actually want to like shape your prose? And that's what I did, and I intended on just doing that for every scene, but by the time I got 2 chapters down, when I started on the 3rd chapter, I realized I was like, no, I know what I want this to sound like, and now I'm just writing the draft. And honestly, it's been coming very quickly. It has not been hard to get these 1,000 words a day. I've been doing them in the afternoon. I've mentioned to you guys before that afternoon is usually not the best time for me to do drafting or any kind of like the more creative stuff. I usually save afternoons for like technical work, but it's been fun. It's been a pleasure to write on this book in the afternoon. And I think a huge part of the reason is this. The reason I can draft a book very quickly when I have outlined it, and it is a big, beefy outline, is because I spent all that time working on that big, beefy outline, and this story and the characters were living in my head. And so I think we all just need that kind of percolation time so that when we start drafting, it feels lived in. The story feels lived in. And I think that is honestly the biggest reason why getting an idea for a book and pantsing it, just going, has never worked for me. Because whether I need that mental development time, like weeks of it, maybe that comes in the form of outlining. In this case, it came in the form of pantsing a 0 draft that is now barely resembles what I'm writing now, but it did make me live mentally in that house with those characters for 6 to 8 weeks of my life. And I think that's why now it's like every time I get to a scene, I'm at that point where every chapter is kind of introducing a new character, and it's like, oh, I know you. The question isn't what do I say about this person? The question is, what do I say now and what do I leave out? I know everything about this person. I have my timelines. I have their whole backstories written out in Scrivener, but also just in my head. I know them. They're real. And other things too, just getting into the house and describing the house. I lived in that house last fall. You know what I mean? Mentally, I lived in it. It's so easy for me to find the details to explain. It's so easy. Like I wrote a chapter yesterday where it was in the POV of a man, and it was his first POV chapter. So it was kind of introductory to him, and he's arriving at the house, and I definitely wanted to hint at his secret. I know what his secret is. And then I was halfway through it, and I was like, I just realized there's no emotional change for him in this chapter, and I would like to think of that, because if a character starts a chapter feeling a certain emotion and they end a chapter feeling that same emotion, then nothing changed. Nothing really happened of importance in that chapter. So what was the point of that chapter? So I always try to look for that emotional change, and that led me to a really great little ending note, a little tiny twist at the end of that chapter that I hadn't planned, but that slots in perfectly. And it's I don't know, it's fun because it's allowing me to have spontaneity like that, because I don't have an outline. I didn't plan that little moment, but it came to me and I'm using it. But it's also just, it's going so much faster, and honestly, a lot less frustrating than when I did the 0 draft for NaNoWriMo, because as fun as that was, it was really hard for me not to just think about, wow, this draft is such a mess and I still have not figured out what I'm doing with this book, But that's what I had to do to get to this place, and that's why this draft is easy to write. So now it's 9 o'clock and I've been talking too long, and I would like to get some words in, so let's get started. Okay, so I got 1,100 words, and it was actually one complete chapter. It's a very short chapter from the point of view of a character who is He's the attorney who's reading the will, and he leaves after this, so he's not an important character for the rest of the novel at all. He's not present. But I did want to show this one little moment before the will reading began, where he's reviewing all the materials from his point of view, to give a little bit of the backstory on when the person whose will this is set this will up. That's important. And I kind of realized when I got to the end of the scene that a little kind of bit of foreshadowing that I had included, it was a little too heavy-handed. I read it and I realized I'm kind of giving something important away a little too soon, so I went back and like kind of tidied up the ending and made it just a little more vague, just to like hint at the one little thing I want to hint at and not expose what is a pretty big reveal later on in the book, if that makes sense. So it's a little after 10, and according to my little schedule I made out for myself, that is the end of working on my book for today. So I'm gonna have some breakfast, and the rest of the day is going to be spending some time in the forum for this course I'm teaching and giving students feedback, and also preparing for the workshop tonight. Reviewing a client who just emailed me, and we have a call at 3, so I'm gonna read through what she sent me, and then we have our call from 3 to 4. And then I've got the course tonight, and that's it. So it's going to be more of a coaching, teaching kind of day. And I'm going to do the same thing tonight before I go to bed. Sit down and look at my day tomorrow and say, okay, what is my day going to look like? Not what can I force in to every hour in order to get the most out of it possible, but realistically, what is it going to look like? Because I think this is a nice little way of just waking up on what's going to be a pretty long work day and just feeling a little bit more kind of relaxed and in control of it. So we'll see how it goes. So I spent most of the afternoon reading the students enrolled in this course. This first assignment part of it was to write a pitch of their books. Every single one pitched a novel that I would 1000% pick up in a bookstore and read. I'm very excited to talk about these stories with everybody. So it's time to get on. Here we go. Had a little bit of rain last night and this morning, but somebody's doing really good. Are you doing good? Good boy. You're a good boy. So the course was fantastic last night. Just really fun, amazing group. I'll be honest, this is like one of the more advanced groups I've ever taught. Like at least half of them, maybe even a majority of them are published. Like they have agents and published novels under their belts. Not the first time I've actually like taught my peers, but the vast majority of the time when I'm teaching a workshop, if it's not kids and teens, it's aspiring authors. And it was a little intimidating. The workshop, I can't remember if I mentioned it, is about developing a multi-POV novel. And for some of them, it was their first time they've tried multi-POV. For others, they had done multi-POV in the past, but there's actually quite a few students who are in that situation that I know well, and I think some of you guys know well, where they have a book they have been on-off working on for the better part of the last decade. And it's just, one of those big, ambitious, sprawling things, and it can feel overwhelming, and part of the overwhelmingness is figuring out how to piece all the multiple points of view together. So I'm really excited about this week. I hope they get a lot out of it, and I'm really enjoying it. I love talking to people about their books. And that said, teaching till 9:30 is hard for me. I am just not a night person anymore. And I finished last night, and I was kind of like winding down and getting ready for bed, and I was journaling, and I was writing about, okay, well, this is what happened today, and here's what my day looks like tomorrow. Like I said that would be today, Wednesday, where it's just a video lesson. So I need to be in the forums, but I'm not doing any kind of presenting. And like between the 2 workshops over Zoom last night, plus I had a client consultation via Zoom, it was like several hours of like face-to-face coaching and a lot of other stuff before and after to prep. And I was looking forward to having today not be that. And then a new client I have who has signed up for like kind of my most intense book coach package, which is where we meet 2 times a week, was like, we were going to start this week, and I knew that. But it was like, let's do Wednesday night. I was like, okay. So I do have something today after all. And I had already kind of like gone through and planned out my day, and now I'm having to restructure it because I just got this client's materials yesterday. So I have a lot of reading to do today. And honestly, Lisa's live stream is starting in a few minutes. I think it would be very easy for today to be one of those days where I blow off my book completely, because I need to read a lot of stuff for this client call later this afternoon. And then I have that client call, and I have to be in the forums for this course. Like maybe we're not doing, Zoom today, but a new video lesson went up and I know they're all going to be in there, and I need to be in there giving them feedback on their stuff. I had to bump some stuff. Like I have a synopsis due for one thing, and kind of taking a look at something another client sent me, a beat sheet we've been developing. And yeah, it's just kind of a lot every time I look at my calendar. It's just one of those weeks where little things like, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And I kept saying yes, and here we are. But again, it's all good. I'm not going to let myself not work on my book today. During the live stream, we usually have 3 20-minute sprints. And one of those 20-minute sprints, I can spare it for my book. 20 minutes on Sandstorms today, that is what I get. However many words it is, and it will be better than nothing. And then I'm gonna just keep plugging along and try to get through all the stuff I have to get through today.
Your bestsellers, we are here with you today to do some writing sprints. Glad you're here today.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm Michelle Schusterman. I'm a young adult and middle grade author. My writing channel is Traditional Publishing Chat, Writing Workshops, and Blogs. I'm going to spend at least just one sprint today on my book, because that is all the time I have to spare on it today, but it's better than nothing. Alright, so I had my 20-minute sprint and I got 537 words. Very happy with that. Honestly, I really want to keep going. We're doing another sprint right now, and it's so tempting, not just because I want to hit 1,000 words, but just every time I start writing in this book, it's amazing to me how fast I just slide right back into it, how easy it is. Again, because of what I talked about yesterday, I think I've just been kind of living in it for so long that all that work is paying off now with this draft so far, knock on wood, being really fun and easy to write. But I need to get my other stuff done. So I am logged into the forums for this course I'm teaching. I am giving feedback on the few people that have posted so far today. A new lesson just went up this morning, but I would imagine that it's going to be later this evening once everybody gets off work that I'm really going to have a lot more stuff to provide feedback on, which means, maybe I'm not actually going to be able to spend as much time as I thought I would have to this morning, this afternoon in the forums. So aside from reading material for this client call that I have at 3:30, maybe I can sneak in another little sprint later on my book. I would really, really like to do that. I was having a lot of fun with this scene. Anyway, that's where things are right now. So we're gonna finish out the next couple sprints. I'm gonna give some feedback to my students, take the pups on a walk, and we'll see what happens this afternoon. Okay, so it's Thursday morning, and this guy had another really good night, thankfully. Very grateful for that. But yesterday I wouldn't call it necessarily a stressful day, but there was absolutely no downtime at all. I can't even remember if I vlogged about that. I think I did, but I had a client call yesterday from 5:30 to 6:30 my time. I think I had said 3:30, but that's their time zone, and I suck at time zones. So long story short, around 4 o'clock, I suddenly realized that I was supposed to get a refill for Buddy's medicine, and the vet had never called, and so I called, and it turns out there was some kind of miscommunication somewhere, and also they needed him to come in to do another blood test because he had been treated for heartworms, and there was some miscommunication, that's all. And so I had to like hop in the car and run him to the vet and then come back in time to do the call, and then I had to spend some time, I shouldn't say had to, I chose to spend some time in the course forums last night trying to catch up, and I just want to give everybody as much feedback as I can. I will be honest, I think I a little, like, this is just one of those weeks where I said yes to a lot of things and didn't actually quite, they all are taking up a little bit more time than they did in my schedule, you know? So with the course, I just hadn't anticipated how much time I was going to be spending working on it outside of the actual Zoom workshops, since I had already uploaded the lessons. Another example, I had an opportunity come up last week that I'm hoping I'll be able to tell you guys about soon, that involved me agreeing to turn something in this coming Friday. And it's like not a big, like the amount of work isn't that big, but again, I kind of like, in my head I was like, oh, that's something I can knock out in a couple hours, and it's not something I can knock out in a couple hours. Why did I think that? And just little things like that, like all good things, but this week is just very full. The thing I'm still very proud of myself though is that this could easily be a week where I blow off my book, easily. And right now it's just about 9 o'clock on Thursday morning, and I've got my Scrivener document open, and I can see that my manuscript is at 12,113 words. And so my goal, before I do anything else, before I eat breakfast, before I do anything, is going to be to get that to 13,000 words. And that will be enough for today. That will be progress, right? Okay, so let's do that. Okay, got my 894 words, entered that in, so now I'm at 13,000. That it's about 10 o'clock, so that took about an hour, and it was a lot of, like, the bulk of what I was writing in the scene was my kind of main primary character, Enid, was like the first real bit of backstory that's, relevant to what's going on with her right now. Right at the very end of the scene, honestly, another couple hundred words will probably wrap it up, and I'm looking at my kind of outline and what scene is next, and it's going to be the first scene that's in the POV of that influencer character that I really, really hate. Although I will say this, after doing all the brainstorming that I did and making the changes that I made in this version, I still don't like her. She is not a person I would want in my life, but I have a whole lot more sympathy for her, and I'm actually really looking forward to writing this scene tomorrow, so that's awesome. And that is going to be it for this book for today. It's 10 o'clock, and the rest of my day is going to be devoted to this course and to giving students feedback, and I've got one client who's waiting for me to review the latest version of a beat sheet we've been working on that I need to get back to her on that. I can put words together, yeah. I'm kind of thinking that usually what I do is I edit and get my vlog uploaded for Friday on Thursday, kind of later in the afternoon or in the evening, but because I'm teaching tonight, I actually don't think I'm going to quite get that done. So I'm probably going to vlog a little bit more tomorrow morning and just see where I can get on this draft, and then edit and upload the vlog for Friday afternoon. Also, looking further ahead, I'm just a few short scenes away from the Catalyst scene, which is going to be really fun. This is obviously the reading of the will of the dead person, and kind of I don't want to say a challenge, but kind of a challenge, a question, something that is posed to all of the characters that is going to kind of like set them all off and put everything in motion here. So yeah, it's coming along. I'm very excited about this, and we'll check in tomorrow morning and see how this is going. Okay, so Friday morning, I sat down first thing, knocked out my 1,000 words, and now Sandstorm is at 14,000 words. When I started this week, I was at around 9,000, I think. And like I was saying yesterday, this could have been a week where I had every reason in the world to blow off writing a little bit in this book every day. It was just all good things happening. I mean, I love all the work I'm doing, but I, once again, didn't quite learn my lesson in that when I'm scheduling things, it's okay sometimes for me to say, actually, that date doesn't work for me. Can we do this date instead? Like, for example, I think I told you guys a little yesterday about how an opportunity came up and it involves me turning in a thing today. And back when I was asked about this, which was just a week ago, I should have looked at the calendar and seen everything I had this week and said, actually, that doesn't work for me. Would the week after be okay? But I didn't. I was just like, yeah, that works. I can do that. I just want to make everybody happy. I just want to say yes to everything. And so last night I finished teaching that course at, it was 9:30, and I closed Zoom. And I looked at my schedule for today and I was like, it's just not going to happen. And so I emailed that editor and I said, look, I know I said I'd get it to you tomorrow, but can I have the weekend? That would really help a lot. And you know what? Immediately he emailed back and he was like, oh yeah, take till Tuesday if you need it. It's not like a big rush. And I just wish I hadn't let myself think all week, like let that one thing be yet another thing that was hanging over my head. I wish I had asked for that time sooner. But anyway, the point is, this has been a really good week. Just a really full, busy week. Busier than I had planned. And again, really, that's all on me. It didn't look in my calendar the way it actually felt once it was all happening. There was just a few too many obligations going on. But everything went really well. I do have one more. I'm not really getting a weekend this weekend. Tomorrow I have a beat sheet that I have been putting off for a client that I really need to work on in the morning. And then I have a book coach client call at 5. And then I have the courses at 7 and 8:30. So there's a lot of Zoom tomorrow. And then Sunday I have to do this synopsis that I was supposed to turn in today, but I pushed away till Monday. Anyway, my point is, I'm not getting a weekend, but that's okay, because I think next week it's definitely looking a lot more low-key. And you know what? I'm really glad that I still managed to make myself get up and do a little bit of work on this book every day. And it's really not because of the word count. Even if I had done 200 words a day, I would still be glad I did it, because it's not so much about where my word count is now. It's whatever, it's just a number. It's more about I got my head in my book for a little bit, just like an hour every single day. I kept the momentum going and I kept myself excited and motivated about it. And I know if I had blown off my book and maybe taken some more time to work on, say, the synopsis I was supposed to turn in today or do things like that, I would be right now today, I would be feeling resentful. I would be feeling resentful towards my job in general for taking time away from my book. But that's really not the way to look at it, because I am very fortunate in that I am in control of my job and my schedule, and I was the one who said yes to all these things. And two, I just proved I can still work on my book even during a busy week like this one. So anyway, yeah, just again, how many times am I gonna have to learn this lesson? I don't know. Apparently over and over again, but I'm gonna keep that in mind moving forward. So that's gonna be it, because I really do want to get this vlog up today, which means I need to get editing. And I would love to hear how your NaNoWriMo is going. I guess we've got another week left, so what's the status? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next week with another video. Bye. Hi. Hi, Mickey. Bear.